You feel that, don't you? The silent, crushing pressure in a room full of people, the familiar sting of being invisible. You're in the meeting, the arena, and you have the idea, the one you bled for, the one you built in the late hours while they were sleeping. You open your mouth to speak, but the words come out thin, hollow, a ghost's whisper. And just like that, you're interrupted, dismissed with a flick of the wrist. You cease to exist. You are wallpaper, a warm body in a chair taking up space but having no mass. This isn't just a bad day at the office, warrior. This is a diagnosis. It's the slow, grinding erosion of your soul. Then comes the gut punch, the final humiliation. That same colleague, the one with the predatory smile, takes your idea, dresses it in their own words and presents it as a trophy. The room nods. The boss smiles. And you just sit there, a spectator at your own execution, burning with a rage so deep it has no voice. A quiet shame floods your system, hot and acidic. And the traitor in your own mind, that soft, weak voice you've allowed to live in your skull for far too long, it leans in and whispers the lie. See, you don't have what it takes. You aren't a leader. They're right. Just stay quiet. Be grateful you're even allowed in the room. That voice is your enemy, not the colleague, not the boss. They are merely the arena. Your real war is against that venomous whisper. It has cost you promotions, it has cost you opportunities, but it's costing you something far more valuable now, your identity. You are starting to believe the lie. You are letting the world tell you what you are worth, and you're accepting their valuation without a fight. You've tried their weak medicine, haven't you? The corporate seminars on assertiveness, the awkward power poses in a bathroom stall, trying to mimic the aggression of the predators, which only made you feel like a fraud. It's all garbage. It's a bandage on a broken bone. But what if I told you there is a code? A psychological operating system forged not in boardrooms, but on the battlefields of ancient Rome. A warrior's discipline used by emperors and generals to command not just armies, but to command themselves in the face of chaos, betrayal, and death. This isn't about learning clever lines to win an argument. This is about forging an inner fortress so strong that the world has no choice but to respect the person who lives inside it. This is Stoicism, not as a philosophy, but as a weapon, and we are about to arm you. This is not a lecture, this is the forge. And the first rule of the forge is that you show up ready to work. So before we strike the first blow, prove your commitment. Prove that you are done being a spectator in your own life. Subscribe to this channel and hit the like button. This is your declaration of intent. It's your signal that you are no longer asking for permission to be powerful. Then go to the comments and write your first command, your personal war cry. It can be as simple as, I will not be invisible, or my mind is my fortress. This is your first act of defiance. This is you seizing control. Once you have done that, prepare yourself. The battle begins now. Forget everything you've been told about faking it till you make it. We are not faking anything. We are building. We are forging. In the next few minutes, I will deliver the arsenal you were never given. I will hand you the 7 brutal phrases of Roman emperors. These are not mere words. They are the hammers and anvils we will use to shatter the chains of mediocrity and build an unbreakable core of self-mastery. The war for your respect begins with the war for your mind. Let's go to work. Let's be brutally honest, warrior. What happened in that room was not an event. It was a symptom of a disease that has been rotting you from the inside out for years. You call it imposter syndrome or being an introvert. You wrap it in soft, clinical language to make it feel less shameful. But we will call it by its true name, a deep, corrosive addiction to the comfort of being small. You are addicted to the safety of the shadows, the safety of not being the one to make the final call, the safety of blaming the predator, the boss, the system, anyone but the man who refuses to forge his own spine. This comfort is a prison you built yourself, and the bars are made of your own fear. Look at how this disease has ravaged your physical self. Your body tells the story. Your mouth is too afraid to speak. Observe yourself, the way your shoulders slump forward, a posture of perpetual apology, the way your eyes dart to the floor when challenged, a surrender before the first blow is even thrown. This weakness of mind has made your body weak. The discipline you lack in a meeting is the same discipline you lack at 5 a.m. when the alarm clock screams for war and you choose the warm comfort of surrender. Your body has become soft because your will is soft. It is the physical manifestation of a spirit that has accepted defeat. You are housing a warrior's soul in the body of a servant. And your career? You have mistaken reliability for respectability. You are the safe pair of hands, the one who does the thankless work in the trenches, while others plant their flags on the hills you captured. You tell yourself that your hard work will be noticed eventually. This is the great lie of the modern serf. The predators in your office are not looking for competence. They are looking for territory. And you, with your head down and your mouth shut, have willingly surrendered yours. Every project you complete without claiming the credit, every idea you allow to be stolen, is another brick in the monument to someone else's success, built on the foundation of your silence. You are not building a career, you are digging your own trench. This sickness does not stay within the office walls. It follows you home. It seeps into the foundations of your relationships. The inability to say no to your boss is the same inability to set boundaries with family, with friends, with lovers. You have become a professional people pleaser, a chameleon who changes colors to avoid any hint of conflict. And because nature abhors a vacuum, your lack of a strong inner frame attracts emotional parasites. People who sense your weakness and exploit it for their own gain. You are teaching the world, through your every hesitant action, that your needs come second. The disrespect you swallow at work is just practice for the disrespect you will invite into your home. You cling to a noble, dangerous lie. My work should speak for itself. This is the mantra of the martyr, the anthem of the invisible. Wake up. The universe does not reward quiet merit. It rewards courage. It bows to conviction. Your brilliant work, your late nights, your sacrifice, it is all just ammunition. And ammunition is useless without a warrior willing to pull the trigger. The predators of this world do not have better ideas than you. They simply have less fear of claiming what they want. You are leaving your greatest weapons on the battlefield for your enemy to pick up and use against you. The most insidious part of this disease is how comfortable it feels. It is so easy to be the victim. It feels righteous, doesn't it? To sit in your quiet rage, blaming the charismatic thief, the ignorant boss. This story, where you are the wronged hero, is the most addictive drug of all. It absolves you of all responsibility. It allows you to remain weak while feeling morally superior. But this victimhood is a warm blanket woven from excuses, and it is suffocating you. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a volunteer. You are actively choosing this path every single day you refuse to fight. So let's stop talking about a lost promotion or a stolen idea. Let's talk about the real cost. The cost is your life. Not your career, your life. You are trading your one brief, glorious chance at existence for the illusion of safety. You are becoming a ghost long before you are dead. A footnote in your own story. The quiet desperation you feel is your soul screaming at you, begging you to pick up a weapon and enter the fight. The diagnosis is clear. The disease is advanced, and now you have a choice. Continue to rot in the comfort of your excuses, or begin the brutal, painful process of forging yourself into the kind of man the world cannot ignore. Now listen closely, warrior. That hollow ache in your chest, that feeling of being a ghost in a room full of people. You think this is a modern problem. You think this is a bug in the software of the 21st century corporate machine. That is the first lie you must burn. This is not a new disease. This is an ancient plague of the soul. The Stoics, men who commanded legions, who faced down emperors and stared into the abyss of their own mortality, diagnosed your exact sickness 2,000 years ago. They saw this weakness in the hearts of men then, and they gave it a name. They called it slavery to external things. The root of your suffering is a single, catastrophic error in your internal operating system. You have outsourced the source of your self-worth. You are seeking from others what can only be forged within yourself. You want their respect, their approval, their validation. But the Stoics taught a brutal and liberating truth. These things are not yours to control. They belong to the unpredictable, chaos of the outside world. By desperately seeking them, you are like a general who abandons his own fortress to beg for supplies from his enemy. You have neglected the one and only thing you truly command, your own mind, your own principles, your own response. This is the great betrayal you have committed against yourself. The Stoics had a word for the events that cause you so much pain. Impressions. The dismissive wave of a hand, the colleague's predatory smile, the boss's praise for a stolen idea. These are merely impressions. They are external data, as neutral as the wind or the rain. They have no inherent power. The agony you feel does not come from the event itself. It comes from the story you immediately attach to it. The judgment you render upon yourself. I am invisible. I am weak. I am not enough. That judgment, warrior, is the poison. The Stoics trained not to change the world, but to master the art of interrogating these impressions before they could infect the soul. You have been swallowing the poison without question. The Roman master, Seneca, saw this flaw with chilling clarity. He wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That fire in your gut during the meeting wasn't just about a stolen idea. It was about the future you imagined, a future of continued disrespect, of missed promotions, of a life spent in the shadows. You were being tortured not by what happened, but by a legion of ghosts you summoned yourself. You were fighting a war on two fronts, against the perceived slight in the room and against the catastrophic future your undisciplined mind projected. This is the coward's pact, to bleed from 1,000 imagined cuts before the enemy has even drawn their sword. Epictetus, a man who was born a slave and rose to become one of the most revered Stoic teachers, understood the location of true power better than any king. He taught that your reasoned choice, your will, your prohairesis, is the only thing that is truly yours. It is an inner citadel that no one, not a boss, not a colleague, not even an emperor with the power of life and death, can ever breach unless you grant them permission. And you, warrior, have left the gates of your fortress wide open. You have allowed the fleeting opinions of deeply flawed, transient people to storm your citadel and occupy your throne. You have surrendered the one piece of ground that was unconquerable. This desperate need for the approval of others is the very definition of slavery. You have made the boardroom your plantation. You have made your boss your master. Every time you bite your tongue, every time you shrink in your chair, every time you check for their reaction before you know how you feel, you are tightening your own chains. The Stoics knew that true freedom, true power is an inside job. It is the ability to stand firm in your own reasoned judgment, regardless of the applause or the jeers of the crowd. It is anchoring your identity in the rock of your own character, not the shifting sands of public opinion. But a diagnosis is not a death sentence. It is a battle plan. Knowing the nature of your enemy is the first step toward its annihilation. The Stoics were not just diagnosticians, they were armorers. They did not simply describe the disease, they forged the weapons to destroy it. They created a series of brutal, practical, mind-altering exercises designed to reclaim the inner citadel, to train the will, and to starve the fear that has held you captive. The weakness you feel is not a permanent part of you. It is an intruder, and we are about to teach you how to drive it out. The war for your mind has been declared. Now we arm you for it. All right, warrior, the diagnosis is complete. The enemy is named. Now, we forge the first weapon. This is not a friendly piece of advice. This is the first brutal law of the Stoic warrior. It is the bedrock upon which your entire fortress will be built. It is absolute, it is non-negotiable, and it will either liberate you or expose you as a coward, unwilling to do the work. There is no middle ground. You will burn this law into the deepest fiber of your being until it is more real to you than the air you breathe. Are you ready? The first law is this: you will wage war only on the ground you control. This is the law of the citadel. It is the beginning and the end of your training. Let me be clear, this is not a metaphor. This is a military directive for the battlefield of your life. You must learn to distinguish with the ruthless precision of a master cartographer between your territory and the enemy's. What is your territory? Only one thing: your mind. Your thoughts, your judgments, your decisions, your will. That is it. That is the entirety of your kingdom. Everything else, everything is foreign land. The opinions of your colleagues, foreign land. The mood of your boss, foreign land. Whether your stolen idea gets applause or ridicule, foreign land. The economy, the weather, the past, the future, all of it is outside the walls of your citadel. You have been wasting your life, your energy, and your honor fighting battles in territories you will never, ever conquer. Think back to that meeting room. Every ounce of your pain came from violating this first law. You were desperate to control the perception of others. You craved the validation from your boss. You seethed at the injustice of your colleagues' actions. You were a general who abandoned his own fortress to throw rocks at a hurricane. You were trying to command the wind, and the wind broke you. The Stoic warrior understands that trying to control external events is not just a strategic error, it is a declaration of insanity. It is the act of a slave who begs his chains to be comfortable. A free man, a warrior, does not concern himself with the storm. He concerns himself with the integrity of his ship. Your addiction to external validation has turned you into a political weakling. You are constantly polling the room, checking faces, trying to read the subtle shifts in emotional weather before you dare to speak your truth. This makes you unpredictable to yourself and utterly predictable to your enemies. The predators in your office have sensed this. They know your actions are not guided by a firm, internal compass of principles, but by a desperate, shifting need for approval. This is why they can walk all over you. You have shown them, through your own behavior, that the keys to your emotional state are not in your pocket but in theirs. They can make you feel small because you have given them that power. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, wrote about this in his private journal while commanding legions on the frozen frontiers of the empire. He reminded himself constantly to retreat into his inner citadel. This was his term for that sacred internal territory of reason, choice, and moral purpose. He knew that the world could strip him of his armies, his throne, even his life, but it could never ever touch his inner citadel unless he allowed it to. You, warrior, have a palace inside you, a fortress of immense power, and you have been living in a tent outside its walls, begging for scraps from passers-by. This is your first drill. For the next 24 hours, you will become a ruthless border guard of your own mind. With every interaction, with every challenge, you will ask yourself one question: is this within my control? The snide comment from a colleague: no. Your calm, disciplined response: yes. The unfair deadline from your boss: no. Your focused, methodical execution of the task: yes. You must become surgically precise in this. You must starve the part of you that obsesses over what others think, say, and do. This will feel uncomfortable. It will feel like you are giving up. You are not. You are ceasing a fight you were never equipped to win, so you can pour all of your strength into the one battle that matters. This is the end of being a victim. A victim is someone who believes their emotional state is determined by external forces. A warrior knows that their internal state is a choice they make, moment by moment, regardless of the chaos raging outside the fortress walls. The rage, the shame, the feeling of being invisible, you chose that. You chose it by misidentifying the enemy. You chose it by fighting on foreign soil. Today, that ends. You will stop trying to calm the sea and start learning how to build an unbreakable ship. You will stop begging for respect and start commanding your own mind. This is the first step to becoming a force of nature that the world has no choice but to acknowledge. Now draw the line. Know your ground. Your war begins here. So you have the first law, the law of the citadel, a powerful truth but a useless one if it remains an abstract idea in your head. A sword on the wall is a decoration. A sword in your hand is a weapon. Now, we take this law out of the realm of philosophy and we put it to work in the mud and blood of your daily existence. This is where the transformation begins. This is where you start forging the armor, piece by piece, by facing the fire of real life and choosing not to burn. We are going to apply this law to the most common enemies that lay siege to your mind: rage, laziness, pain, and fear. Pay attention. This is your training manual. Let's start with rage. A car cuts you off in traffic. A colleague makes a snide remark. The world delivers a petty injustice, and you feel that hot red surge. The weak man, the slave to externals, immediately surrenders his citadel. He lays on the horn, he screams. He lets the actions of a complete stranger dictate his internal state for the next hour. He has lost the war before he even knew he was fighting. The Stoic warrior, armed with the first law, does the opposite. He feels the surge of anger. He's not a robot, but he immediately identifies it as an impression. He asks, "Is the action of this other driver within my control?" The answer is a brutal, liberating no. It is foreign land. Is my response, my judgment, my choice to escalate within my control? Yes, that is his ground. He takes a breath. He re-grips the steering wheel. He focuses on his own driving. He has held the fortress. He has won. Now let's talk about the war you lose every single morning. The battle against laziness. The alarm clock screams at 5 a.m. It is the call to arms. And the voice of the enemy, your inner coward, whispers the seductive lie. Just 5 more minutes. You deserve the rest. It won't make a difference. This is the gravity of comfort, pulling you back into the warmth of surrender. The slave listens to this voice, but the warrior applies the law. The desire for comfort, an external pull, a sensation, the physical tiredness of the body? Data, not a commander. The decision to rise, to put your feet on the floor, to honor the commitment you made to yourself the night before. That is your citadel. That is the only thing you control. You don't negotiate with weakness. You don't debate with the traitor. You issue a command from the throne of your mind, and your body obeys. The victory is not in the workout you're about to do. The victory happens in that one single brutal second when you choose discipline over comfort. Consider pain and loss. You suffer a setback. A project fails. You lose money. You lose a relationship. The undisciplined mind immediately floods with the poison of victimhood. Why did this happen to me? This is unfair. My life is ruined. You are now drowning in a story about an event you cannot change. You are fighting the past, and the past will always win. The warrior feels the sting of loss, but his training kicks in. He applies the law. The event itself, it has happened. It is now a fact of the universe, as uncontrollable as the orbit of the moon. It is foreign territory, but his interpretation of the event, his response to it, that is his ground. He asks not, "Why me?" but "What can I learn from this?" He asks not, "How can I undo this?" but "How can I use this?" He turns the obstacle into fuel. The pain is real, but the suffering becomes a choice. He holds the line. And finally, fear, the ghost that haunts you before every important meeting, every difficult conversation, every leap into the unknown. Your mind projects 1,000 catastrophic futures. You imagine the rejection, the humiliation, the failure. You are bleeding from wounds that have not yet been inflicted. This is what Seneca meant. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The slave is paralyzed by these ghosts. The warrior applies the law. The future? Foreign land. The outcome of the meeting? Foreign land. The reactions of others? Utterly, completely foreign land. What is his territory, his preparation, his integrity, the words he chooses to speak right now, the control of his own breathing in this moment? He brings his focus back from the phantom future and into the unassailable fortress of the present. He does his duty. The fear may still be there, a shadow at the edge of his vision, but it is no longer on the throne. Do you see it now, warrior? This is not 4 different strategies for 4 different problems. This is one law, one master key, applied with ruthless consistency, the law of the citadel. It is the universal algorithm for reclaiming your power. It doesn't promise you a life without anger, pain, or fear. It promises you something far more valuable, a life where you are no longer a slave to them. It gives you a place to stand, a fortress from which to fight in the midst of the unavoidable chaos of existence. You stop being a leaf blown about by the winds of circumstance, and you become the storm's eye, a point of calm, deliberate power around which the chaos rages. This is the beginning of true self-mastery. Every time you consciously apply this law, you are striking the hammer against the steel of your own character. Each small victory, choosing calm over road rage, discipline over the snooze button, learning over victimhood, action over anxiety, is another layer of armor being forged. It will feel awkward at first. Your old habits, the habits of a slave, will scream in protest. Let them scream. Your job is not to silence them. Your job is to ignore them and act from the citadel. This is the work. This is the forge. And through this process, you are not just building resilience, you are building a man the world cannot break. And so, you begin to walk the earth differently. The change is not loud, it is not announced with a trumpet blast or a sudden promotion. It is a shift in the very gravity you command. In meetings, when you speak, a silence falls. Not a silence of politeness, but a silence of attention. Your words are fewer, but they land with the weight of hammered steel. The old you filled silences with nervous chatter, with apologies for taking up space. This new man, the warrior you are forging, understands that his silence is as much a weapon as his speech. People who once looked through you now look at you. They are trying to figure out what has changed. They sense the presence of a fortress where there was once only open, undefended ground. The war in your head is over. The traitorous voice that whispered lies of your inadequacy has been starved, chained, and left to die in a forgotten dungeon of your mind. In its place is not a roaring ego, but a profound, unshakable calm. You wake up in the morning, and the first thing you feel is not the familiar dread, the mental rehearsal of the day's potential humiliations, but a quiet solidity, a readiness. You have reclaimed your inner territory, and the peace that reigns there is not a fragile truce. It is the absolute peace of a conquered kingdom under the command of its rightful sovereign. This is the Stoics' prize. Not happiness, which is a fleeting emotion, but tranquility, which is an indestructible state of being. This internal shift begins to manifest in your physical form. Look in the mirror, warrior. Your shoulders are no longer slumped in a permanent posture of apology. They are back, squared, not with arrogance, but with the quiet confidence of a man who carries his own weight. Your gaze no longer darts to the floor when challenged. It holds steady, a beacon of unwavering intent. The discipline you apply to your mind at 9 a.m. is the same discipline that gets your body out of bed at 5 a.m. The softness is being burned away, replaced by the hard lines of a man at war with his own weakness. Your body is no longer a prison for your spirit. It has become its instrument. And the predators, the charismatic thieves and the dismissive bosses, they are the first to sense the change, and it unnerves them. Their entire strategy relied on your predictable weakness. They would push, and you would fold. They would interrupt, and you would fall silent. Now they push, and they hit a wall of stone. They interrupt, and you hold your ground with a calm, unwavering gaze that communicates a single brutal message. My space is no longer for sale. They test you, looking for the old cracks, the familiar insecurities, but they find none. Their power was never their own. It was a loan you granted them through your fear. You have now called in that loan with interest. They will begin to avoid you, not out of hatred, but out of a primal instinct that recognizes a superior force. You begin to understand the true meaning of freedom. You used to think freedom was getting the promotion, earning the praise, winning the argument. You were a slave who dreamed only of a more comfortable set of chains. Now you know that real freedom is the complete and utter indifference to those things. The freedom to speak your truth, not because you think it will win you points, but because it is your truth. The freedom to act on your principles, regardless of the outcome. You are no longer a ship at the mercy of the wind and waves of other people's opinions. You are the lighthouse, anchored to the bedrock of your own character, and the storms of the world can either break against you or pass you by. It makes no difference. This transformation cannot be contained within the walls of an office. It follows you home. The man who can hold the line against a predatory colleague is the same man who can set firm boundaries with demanding relatives. The man who speaks with clarity and conviction in the boardroom is the same man who can communicate with honesty and strength in his relationships. You cease to be a people pleaser because you are no longer seeking your worth in the pleasing of others. The parasites and emotional vampires who were drawn to your old weakness now find your new strength abrasive. They will fall away, and in their place, you will attract those who respect solidity, who value character, who are looking for an ally, not a host. Your life is being reforged by the fire of your new identity. Look at yourself now, warrior. The ghost is gone. The man who stands in his place is not an actor playing a role. He is the result of 1,000 small victories, 1,000 choices for discipline over comfort, 1,000 moments where he chose to hold the citadel. The respect you now command from the world is not a gift they gave you. It is a tax they are forced to pay on the territory you claimed and fortified within yourself. You didn't learn how to win their game. You created your own, with your own rules, on your own ground. You have become the man who lives inside the fortress, and the world, finally, has no choice but to acknowledge the king. But a fortress is not built by wishing for one. It is built brick by brick, day by day, under a hostile sun. A warrior is not forged in a single glorious fire. He is hammered into shape through the relentless, monotonous discipline of his daily training. The inner citadel you have built is strong, but it requires a garrison. It requires a daily ritual to inspect the walls, sharpen the blades, and stand guard against the insidious creep of your old weakness. We will now install that garrison. We will give you the practical daily drill that turns philosophy into muscle memory. We call it the Presidium Protocol. Presidium is a Roman word. It means a guard post, a garrison, a fortress. This is not a feel-good morning affirmation. This is your daily military drill for the occupation of your own mind. The purpose of this protocol is to win the war before the first arrow is ever fired. Where do you lose most of your battles, warrior? Not in the meeting room. You lose them in the 5 minutes before the meeting, in the elevator ride up, in the walk down the hallway. This is the time the enemy, your fear, your anxiety, launches its ambush. It floods your system with cortisol, shortens your breath, and whispers 1,000 catastrophic scenarios into your ear. By the time you walk through the door, you are already a casualty. The Presidium Protocol is a preemptive strike. It is the act of seizing the high ground of your own mind before you enter the enemy's territory, ensuring you walk into the arena not as a trembling victim hoping for the best, but as a calm, prepared commander operating on your own terms. Here is the drill. It is brutally simple, which is why it works. Your trigger for the protocol is any upcoming event that causes you even a flicker of anxiety or hesitation. A presentation, a difficult conversation with your boss, a negotiation, even a phone call you've been dreading. The moment you feel that trigger, your protocol begins. Step 1. Isolate yourself. This is a private ritual of war. Find a bathroom stall, an empty stairwell, a quiet corner of the office. If you cannot move, simply close your eyes at your desk. You need 60 seconds of tactical solitude. Step 2. Choose your weapon. For this first drill, we will arm you with Seneca's blade. We suffer, more often in imagination than in reality. This phrase is the antidote to the poison of anxiety. It is the truth that will set your mind free. Now, the 60-second forge, the clock starts now. For the first 20 seconds, you will command your body. Close your eyes. Take 3 slow, deep, powerful breaths. In through the nose for a count of 4, hold for 4, out through the mouth for a count of 6. This is not a relaxation exercise. This is an act of sovereign command. You are telling your animal physiology, your panic response, that it does not give the orders here. The warrior on the throne of your mind is in control. For the next 30 seconds, you will wage war on the lies. Repeat Seneca's phrase silently in your mind. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Do not just recite it. See the ghosts your fear has created, the imagined failures, the humiliations, the catastrophic outcomes. See them for what they are: smoke, phantoms, illusions with no substance. The only thing that is real is this breath, this moment. The rest is a lie. For the final 10 seconds, open your eyes and issue your command, not a wish, but a direct order for an action you control. I will be precise. I will hold my ground. I will listen before I speak. Do not expect to feel a surge of false, chest-pounding bravado. That is the drug of the weak. What you will feel is far more powerful, a profound and unshakable calm. You will feel a cold clarity descend upon your mind. The frantic, internal chatter of what if will be gone, replaced by a focused silence. Your heart rate will be steady. Your thoughts will be your own, not the hijacked script of your anxiety. You are not walking into the room trying to act confident. You are walking in with an internal state that is genuinely and fundamentally solid. You have transformed your inner environment from a chaotic battlefield into a disciplined command center. This is true power. It is a quiet gravity that others feel before you. Ever speak a word. This protocol is not a theory to be admired in a video. It is a weapon, and weapons are meant to be used. Your orders are clear. In the next 24 hours, you will identify one interaction, one meeting, one conversation that triggers your anxiety. It does not matter how small it seems. Before you engage, you will execute the Presidium Protocol exactly as I have described it. This is your first mission as a warrior in training. This is your first opportunity to take the steel of this philosophy and strike it against the anvil of your real life. The theory is over. The lectures are done. The forge is now your reality. Go to work. The forge is hot. The steel is glowing. We have shattered the lies that kept you small. We have exposed the enemy in your own mind. And we have armed you with the code of emperors. Let us be clear on what has been accomplished here. You were not given a list of clever tricks to win arguments. You were handed the keys to the one and only kingdom. You will ever truly rule, the fortress of your own mind. The first brutal law, to wage war only on the ground you control, is not a suggestion. It is the constitution of your new sovereign self. Everything outside your reasoned choice is foreign land. And a warrior does not bleed for foreign land. The Presidium Protocol is not a meditation app. It is your daily military drill. It is the 60-second ritual where you seize command of your internal state before you step onto the battlefield. You learn that true power is not the ability to shout down your opponent, but the ability to command the calm in your own soul while the world around you burns. You have seen the truth. The respect you craved was never going to be a gift from others. It is a tax the world pays to a man who has achieved unshakable self-possession. They do not respect your title or your ideas. They respect the fortress you have become. This is the end of the beginning, warrior. The ghost that sat in that meeting room is dead. The man who stands in his place is a sentinel, a guardian of his inner citadel. He does not seek approval, for he is the only judge that matters. He does not fear chaos, for he is the calm at its center. This is the path of the Stoic warrior. It is a lonely, demanding, and glorious path. It is the journey from being a victim of your circumstances to becoming the master of your own soul. The work is not over. The work has just begun. Carry this decree with you. Burn it into your memory. Let it be the first thing you think of when you wake and the last thing you reflect on at night. It is your final command and your eternal truth. My mind is the fortress. My will is the weapon. My peace is the victory. This is the creed of the unbreakable. Live by it, and the world will have no choice but to bend to the gravity of the man you have forged. If this battle has lit a fire in your soul, then prove it. Go to the comments now and write the one phrase that will be your command for the days ahead. Share this transmission with another warrior who needs to awaken. Subscribe to continue forging your mind. The discipline is daily. We will see you in the arena.